is something we need. It's a leap of faith. Oh, if you have the will and the moment to spare, it's a beautiful world out there. It's a beautiful world out there.
Mugdock Country Park is located 10 miles north of Glasgow, close to the population of Milngavie and Strathblane. It was designated a country park in 1987 and combines woodland, heathland, marshland and moor, along with formal walking routes, a loch, castle and gun sites left over from World War II. The area has a long and fascinating history, as well as an outstanding natural environment, which sees almost 70% of the park designated a site of special scientific interest, and Mugdock Castle designated a scheduled ancient monument. Craigend Castle is C listed and the courtyard is B listed. Mugdock Castle was an important seat of one of Scotland's most prominent noble families, the Grahams. From the 13th century until 1945, Sir David de Graham, one of the early owners of Mugdock lands, was a contemporary of Robert the Bruce and lived during one of Scotland's great struggles against the English overlordship. His support for the Scottish cause is well illustrated by his much-quoted oath, "As long as but 100 of us remain alive, never will we, on any condition, be brought under English rule." The first stone castle at Mugdock was probably built by his son in around 1372. This early castle was built around a four-sided courtyard. Its four towers did not project beyond the tall curtain walls, giving it a less threatening appearance than other castles of its day. So what remains of the first castle? Parts of the northwest tower, portcullis and curtain wall can still be seen, but the southwest tower has survived best of all and is being carefully restored. Its ground floor was originally a prison, and the rooms above first-rate suites, probably occupied by the owner. From the parapet walk on top of the tower, watchmen could view the entire Clyde Valley to the south and the first risings of the Campsies to the north. The gallant Grahams continued to be brave and loyal supporters of the Scottish throne. They were well rewarded in 1485 when their Stirlingshire lands became the Barony of Mugdock, making the castle the centre of power for miles around. Lord Graham, or Earl of Montrose as his descendants knew him, had several residences and moved frequently between them. Whilst living at Mugdock, he would hold court at the castle, oversee his lands and prepare for war. During these times, the castle and its surroundings changed considerably. A new, larger courtyard was created by building a lower wall around the castle and its surrounding grounds. The wall was pierced by keyhole-shaped gun loops, contrasting strong with the arrow slits of the castle and curtain walls. New buildings were erected within the courtyard, including a domestic range attached to the southwest tower. The ruin of this building can still be seen today. The most famous Graham to live at Mugdock was James, the 5th Earl and 1st Marquis of Montrose. Known as the Great Marquis, he was a fine soldier and led the Covenanters against Charles I. However, he gradually became disillusioned with the leaders of the Covenant and took up the cause of the English king, fighting against his old arch-rival, the Marquis of Argyll. In 1650, Montrose was betrayed. He was taken prisoner and hung, drawn and quartered at Edinburgh Cross. His remains were displayed in the main Scottish town as an example. Mugdock Castle suffered during these times. It was heavily ransacked and fell into Argyll's hands for a few years, being reclaimed by the Great Marquis heir in 1655. His father's expensive adventures left the good Marquis without money. He sold land to rebuild Mugdock, but it was always considered a poor dwelling for a Marquis from then on. By 1680, the 3rd Marquis had moved to the grander Craigend Castle, and until 1836, Mugdock was home to another branch of the Graham family. The walled garden and summer house were added by the last Graham residents, 3 unmarried sisters, in around 1820. Mugdock's next resident was Archibald MacLelland, founder of the MacLelland Gallery. He leased Mugdock as a country house and died there in 1854 in the company of his mistress. In 1874, the last house was built at Mugdock. John Guthrie Smith demolished most of the existing buildings and linked his new Scots baronial mansion to the original southwest tower, which he used as a smoking room. The house and Mugdock estate were sold to Sir Hugh Fraser after World War II and subsequently gifted to Central Regional Council for development as a country park in 1981. Craigend Castle, now a ruin, was built by James Smith of Jordan Hill in 1816 to plans furnished by Alexander Ramsay. Built in Regency Gothic style, the castle reflected Smith's recently acquired wealth. Its interiors were stunning, especially the public rooms. The reception hall was panelled in oak, with an interlaced carved stone ceiling and stained glass windows which bore the Smith family's coat of arms. There were 2 drawing rooms, each with carved Gothic doors and decorated with blue and silver silk wallpaper. A large conservatory led off the second drawing room and was accessed through massive carved oak doors. Craigend's imposing opulence drew many an admiring eye across the magnificent landscape gardens to witness the comings and goings at the big house. Craigend was sold to Sir Andrew Buchanan, the former ambassador to the Habsburg court in Vienna in 1851. Later occupants include James Outram, chartered accountant and nephew George Outram, one-time owner of the Glasgow Herald. He leased the castle from the Buchanans from 1909 to 1919. Sir Harold Yarrow, son of the founder of the famous shipyard Yarrow and Company, lived in the castle with his family from 1920 and resided there for 27 years. Craigend Estate was sold to Andrew Wilson and his zoologist son William in 1948. The family was already well known as the proprietors of Wilson's Zoo in Oswald Street, Glasgow. Between them, they transformed Craigend into a zoological wonderland, opening in 1949 and containing over 2,000 animals, reptiles and birds, most of which were kept in cages and dens located around the Gallow Hill. A Noah's Ark contained smaller birds and animals and was especially popular with children. 2 of the estate's 3 locks contained rowing and motorboats, which could be hired for a modest sum. 3 of the castle's public rooms became tea rooms, serving up 1,000 customers a day. Undoubtedly, the zoo's main attraction was Charlie the elephant, who resided in the stable block along with his keeper, Sing Abraham. The pair were inseparable, as the following story illustrates. Abraham one day decided to go for a drink in one of Milngavie public houses. As he walked down towards the village, he was unaware that Charlie was following at a discreet distance. The elephant's presence was only confirmed when he tried to enter the public bar and got stuck fast in the doorway. It took the local fire brigade some considerable time to set him free. Sadly, Craigend Zoo was not a success. The local transport company withdrew the bus service from Milngavie to Craigend as it was operating at a loss. Visitor figures plummeted and the zoo closed its doors for the last time in 1955.